let's get ready to make a transition to our topic for Hot Topics tonight. Thank you all for being prompt in signing on. Chris is going to be talking to us tonight about a membership kit and some things that he's been working on putting together. He is our club growth director, and Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
All right. I love a virtual clap. You get one person with their mic on and then you see all the hands. I love it. I really do. All right. I'm going to share my screen here with you all. And let's hope that this is going to work out. All right. So I'm really excited because tonight we're going to talk about how to create a club marketing plan. And why that excites me is because not only is marketing a key component of the club growth director role, but in my day job, I work in corporate communications and marketing. So this is my wheelhouse, and I'm really excited to get to share it all with you. I do want to make sure that I cover a couple of things before we get too far into this. In the chat, I dropped 3 documents into that. I would encourage you to download them so that you can take a look at them either while I'm talking through it or after the fact. You may want to use them, and you'll figure that out why as we continue on. The other thing that I want to add is we are going to have plenty of time for questions through this. So let me give you the presentation side, and then we'll have a little Q&A. So if you come up with a question along the way, make sure to write it down or remember it or whatever. We'll have that Q&A time at the back end of today's presentation. So let's start with, why do we create a marketing plan? What is the purpose of this? And it really boils down to 3 pretty basic items why we create marketing plans. The first is that it allows us to analyze our current situation. Where are we at today? And where do we want to be tomorrow? But ultimately, yeah, where are we at today? What's our situation? Number 2, it puts a plan on paper. How many of you have done this? And I will admit I'm guilty. You go to the grocery store, you know in your head, this is everything that I need to get. And you get to the grocery store and you go, oh, what did I need? And by the time you get home, you realize you didn't get the chicken broth or the tomato paste or the little simple thing that I need this to be able to complete what I'm cooking. Well, like any plan, putting it on paper is what makes that plan successful. So that's the second reason why we make a marketing plan. And the third is that it allows us to measure success. You know, what I really like about a marketing plan is that it never truly ends. It's very cyclical in that, you know, we begin with that analyzation, then we put it on paper on what do we want to do, then we execute it and we begin to measure success. And what you find as you go through your plan is by the time you're getting to measure success, you're actually analyzing your situation again. And now you've moved on to your next plan. And as you reflect back on all of your different marketing plans that you've put together, you should start to see this growth in success over this. So that is why we plan it out. Okay, before we get into what does a plan look like, I want to briefly touch on the channels in which we market to. So there are really 3. There is the digital side, a traditional side, and then hybrid. Oftentimes you'll see hybrid referred to as broadcast. I think that's a real traditional term for it. I like hybrid for it because the broadcast side is radio and television. Radio and television have both been around a very long time, which would make them traditional, but they have a lot of aspects to them that fall into that digital category as well. So your digital is your online experience. It's your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn's, your Twitters, your Meetups, your Snapchats, Google, Yahoo, Bing, TikTok, if we still have that in this country for another couple of days. that is the digital side. Your traditional side is going to be your newspaper, your print, your bulletin boards, even your billboards that you see on the side of the street. And then hybrid or broadcast is obviously radio and television. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to spend a lot of time, or really more of my focus, around the digital component to it. And I do that because, one, it's where I tend to hang out in my professional life a little more often. And two, it has more of a return on investment for the price. And I say that because if you think about your traditional or your broadcast, let's say you send a newspaper out to 1,000 people, and in it you had an ad. The only true way that you know if you were successful with that ad is when they show up and they say, hey, I saw this thing in the newspaper and I'm here, I want to check it out. Where on the digital side, there is a lot more opportunity to follow the customer journey or the potential member journey. And that can be done through likes and shares and comments, that type of thing. So at the end of the day, one, digital is cheaper, and two, it's a much better investment on your money if you're going to spend money. On the other side of that, you have the opportunity for just organic advertisement as well, organic marketing of just putting a post out and hoping that it gets shared, posted, commented, all those kind of things. So the real question that I know that everybody is asking is, okay, well, what does a marketing plan look like? How do I even begin on this? And like I said, I dropped into the chat those items for you with those documents. Now, before we get too deep into what those documents are, in the end, all three of those documents can encompass a marketing plan. If you find that this plan or the documents that I provided are not a good direction for you, there are, I don't even know, I'm going to say millions, but that may be an overestimation. There are millions of templates of marketing plans out there. I highly encourage you to find what works for you, or take this. And if you say, you know what, I really like this and it works, that's awesome. I did a good job today. I would love to take credit, but somebody else built it, because there are millions out there and this is just what works well for me, I found. Or if you say, you know what, this works, but I wish it went a little deeper, feel free to adapt this to what you need it to be. So that first document that I dropped into the chat is the brand outline. And what this is this is really the one component that won't change a whole lot between your different brand plans, or I'm sorry, your different marketing plans, because your story never really changes, or doesn't change a whole lot. So this is where you're going to outline, what is your club story? Who are you? And answer that real important question of, why are you? People want to understand the why behind the product that they're buying. I'm quoting Simon Sinek there. I'm sure that many of you have heard it before. The other piece to it is the club profile. And the club profile is the, who are we? You know, what's our club name? Where do we meet? What are our hours? Who do we contact if there are questions? That type of thing. The only thing that truly changes, or really changes over time on a consistent basis, is this channel audit, that middle component to it. The channel audit is, what do we have? Does our club have a Facebook page? Do we have a LinkedIn page? Have we ever done anything in a newspaper? Do we have a favorite bulletin board at a Panera down the road that has seen really good traction? So you're just auditing, what channels do you have to market yourself in? Second piece is the ad planner. I don't love the name of this, I won't lie, because ad kind of signifies that you are purchasing. But like I mentioned earlier, you know, there is opportunity to have organic marketing, especially in the digital world these days. So inside this ad planner is where you're going to define your objective. So this is, you've done your analysis of where are we today? Well, where do we want to be tomorrow? And you're going to define that and outline that. The next component in it is the location. Where are we going to put this? Are we going to take out an ad in a newspaper? Are we going to put up signs at that favorite Panera down the street? Are we going to do Facebook posts or LinkedIn posts or posts on social media? The audience that we're targeting, you know, who do we want to see this? There's a Another component that we're not going to have time to get to today, but if you want to learn more about it, I'm always willing to have the conversation, which is called your brand persona. And it's where you actually take and you build the person that you want to target. You know, what are their likes? What do they do? That type of thing. And it really helps you establish a little bit deeper in that focus of what your audience looks like. The next component is budget. So are you going to spend any money? And if you are, how much are you going to spend? And then the last is schedule, although I wouldn't get too detailed on the schedule in this ad planner, because the third document in there is a posting schedule. And this is where you're going to outline that step by step. Here's what we're going to do. How often are we going to post? And post doesn't just mean how often do I write a Facebook post. It could mean how often do we put that flyer up at the Panera? How often do we change it out? So what are those platforms that we're going to use for that? And are there any themes? Do we see any trends between it? You know, we put up a flyer that focuses around our speech contest. Well, at the same time, we're posting on Facebook about speech contest. So just tracking those themes. And in the end, when you have completed all three of those, you have a plan. You have a marketing plan. And now you go out and you execute it. So it's time to execute. Some tips that I would offer you when you get to the execution stage to help you be successful are, first and foremost, social media accounts. You know, like I mentioned when we were talking about channels, I spend a lot of time in that digital side of things, and I do it because, one, it's where my job pays me to be, but then also because it's where you see the most ROI. If your club doesn't have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page, I highly recommend those two social media platforms. LinkedIn, especially if that target audience that you're going after are career professionals. That is the platform that all of those people are using right now. Second, be specific in your keywords. And this really goes to the paid advertisement side of things. So an example would be if you are going to put a little money behind a post that you had on Facebook. Facebook is going to say, great, we can promote this post and we can get it in front of people. But who do you want it in front of? It's going to ask you for keywords, and keywords are based on a whole bunch of algorithms of things that people have Googled or searched for or visited websites to, and they've baked a lot of cookies and they've got cookies sitting there, you know, digital cookies, I guess I should say. So be very specific in the words that you choose. In this example, I use Toastmasters Leadership, Communication, Growth, Development, and Learn. I started a little bigger and I broke it way down to just simple words like learn. People who have just, you know, I want to grow, that type of thing. Automate your content. There are a lot of automation platforms out there that will help you. You know, you're making a plan, which means it's predictable, right? You know that 3 months from now, your plan is to communicate about whatever the topic is that you chose for 3 months from now. Hootsuite is the big player in the field of automation, and they offer a free plan that is actually great for clubs because it gives them just the amount of features that they need. You know, this could be like if your club decided you were going to do motivational Monday quotes. I know a lot of clubs do that. You could load up a year's worth of quotes, and every Monday it will automatically pump it out to your club's Facebook page. This one, the fourth one on the tips, it's probably the most important, and I should have put it as number one and I didn't, and I kicked myself for that when I built this presentation, but have a call to action. You need to encourage your content viewers to take that next step. So it's one thing to say in a Facebook post, we're going to have an amazing meeting this week, you should join us. Well, you had a little bit of a call to action there because you told them to join you, but you didn't tell them how. You didn't force them to take that next step. So just always make sure that you have that call to action. You know, so in that example, it could be, we are going to have an amazing meeting this week. We've got a lot of great speakers. If you should join us, here's the link or here's the contact information. Give them that next piece that they need to be able to take the next step. And the last is, don't forget to measure. Never forget to measure at the end of your plan. because figuring out what worked, what didn't work, what should you repeat, what do you need to adjust, is what is going to help you continue into the next plan and the next plan. So always don't forget to measure. I want to wrap up, and what I want to wrap up with is just some resources that are out there, and I'm going to go a little quickly on this one. But on the Toastmasters International website, there is a resource library. It is underneath the resources tab. If you've never been out there, I highly encourage it. There is a section dedicated to marketing. It has a lot of pre-built things that you can take and put your club information on and start putting it out there today. Or it can give you inspiration for things that maybe, you know, you want to tweak a little bit here and there to customize it to your own club's story. Those documents are out there. Additionally, in the resources tab on Toastmasters is the brand portal and brand manual. And the brand manual has just been updated. So I like to say 10 times fast, brand new brand manual, but I never make it to 10. I highly recommend that you take a look at it, especially when you get into that execution phase of your marketing plan, because you're going to want to make sure that you are staying within Toastmasters brand and in their trademark. And the next resource is if you ever have question outside of that manual on, are you doing the right thing? Are you putting the right things together? There are two teams at headquarters. There's the brand team and the trademark team. They are phenomenal, and their response time is even better, I think. They will help guide you to make sure that you are within the brand and within the trademark for Toastmasters. They're not going to give you the tips to design, but they're going to help you to make sure that you are doing things the way you should. And the fourth and final resource that I have for you is an automation platform called HubSpot. Now, HubSpot is a very large company that other very large companies use, but they have a resource library that is completely free. And their resource library is it's phenomenal. They have templates for different things. They have studies that they've done on audiences and how are people engaging, especially in the digital world now, that are out there that you can take a look at and really ultimately will help you in that execution component of your marketing plan. And I would be remiss if I didn't wrap up and talk about the incentives that we have as a district this year around marketing. The first is the club success plan. If your club success plan turns in your plan to me by September 30th, you will have earned an open house kit, and that has a whole bunch of little items in it that you can use when we're meeting back in person for your open houses or when you have guests, that type of thing. So how does a success plan fit into a marketing plan? Well, in your success plan, you could certainly put in there, you know, we're going to do a marketing plan and this is why, and this is how we're going to execute it. Additionally, we have two other incentives this year. We have the club marketing plan. So if you take the documents that I gave you or you write a plan of your own and you submit it to me, I'm going to give you $50 to help you out to execute that plan so that you can do a little bit of the paid advertisement, or if you need help with printing costs for your posters or banners or anything like that. And then additionally, up to $25 that you spend on marketing this year will match $25. We'll give you an additional $25. So right there, there is $75 on the table for every club to put a marketing plan together and execute that marketing plan. So that's what I've got. My contact information is here on this slide. Like I said, I live in a marketing world, so I always love to talk about it. Please shoot me an email if you ever have questions, you ever want help, you ever want me to take a look at something and say, you know, what do you think about this? I'm more than willing to help. And with that, I hope we have time. Oh, we have a little bit of time for some Q&A. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Oh, Teresa.
Yes, Teresa.
Okay, so I have a few comments. First of all, wow, amazing. Thank you so much for all this content. Super fun. Wondering if you might share your PowerPoint.
Yeah, yep, I can absolutely share the PowerPoint.
That would be fabulous. Also, tomorrow is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, so who knew?
Different cookies, but still.
Right. Right. The other thing that I'd like to mention too is the fact that that brand manual that Toastmasters International has, I really appreciated the commentary that you put forth on the Facebook post for Toastmasters International. I think that the brand manual is definitely something that is important, and keeping the logo and everything we know about Toastmasters International branding the same throughout the entire district is enormously important. And I know the relation has been taught in training, and many of you have been trained know this, that it's similar to McDonald's. McDonald's doesn't go and change their emblem or incorporate it in a local way. The same thing is true of Toastmasters International. We want to keep that. So thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciated what you had to share.
Yes, thank you. Matthew, hi.
Hey, Chris, great job. Thanks for sharing the great information.
Yeah, absolutely.
General question for you on Hootsuite, because I used to use it previously, and for a time Facebook had just allowed them access to continue auto posting information. So is that something they've gone back and allowed again?
Yes, it is my understanding that they do it, that they have allowed it again. Yes.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, so that's good to know. Thank you.
Yep. And if Hootsuite isn't the solution for you, this is to everyone, there are a lot of other automation platforms out there. A lot of them also have free components or free plans to help you out. Hootsuite is just the big one. Teresa.
I'm sorry to be asking so many questions, but I am curious to know, in training with Toastmasters International, did they speak to the virtual advertising at all, since we're all on an online platform?
As far as?
Yep, just different methods to go about, or is Facebook really some of the only way, or obviously social media platforms, but was there anything else that was expressed?
No, there isn't, from what I've seen, there isn't a restriction on advertisement right now. Now, I will say that you should always consider running it past the brand at toastmasters.org, just to make sure. There are a lot of clubs who are advertising on Facebook. There are a lot of clubs who are advertising on LinkedIn now, and there's even some who in the world who are doing Google ads. I would, I don't want to tell you, oh, that's okay. Always, if you have questions, make sure that you're running it past the branding team over at TI, but advertise your club. All right, we've got a couple more minutes if there's any other questions. Orville.
Yes, thank you, Chris. I'm impressed by the presentation. It was very good. Lots of content there. I'm interested in it. I like the fact that it's, well organized, and I think once something like this is really implemented in detail, it's almost sure to bear fruit. As to whether those of us who are not as, proficient in it as you can actually get that fruit out of it, is another thing. There's some, in terms of research, to find out really what's happening, that first part of it. How much do we need to do more of that? Because in terms of, you want to put into action something, but then you need to know exactly what you're dealing with, what people are seeing your ads or hearing about your club. Why are they not coming? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the world of advertisement is a whole lot of what if, or we hope, I guess I should say. I think ultimately, to your point of not everybody is a marketing expert, it's all about kind of just getting in and trying it. So the forms that I supplied for you guys tonight are really the most simplistic of how to outline a plan, because I knew, a lot of the districts, you're not marketers, and that's okay. You all have your areas of expertise. So what I would encourage you to do is just sit down, look through this, and, just start to answer the questions. and do it as a team. You know, I wouldn't try to take this on as one person. Do it as, you know, your executive team of your club, or, you know, if you have some people who are maybe interested in the PR, although I hate there, it gets muddy when we start talking about the differences between PR and marketing. You know, if you have people who are interested in that kind of thing, you know, sit down together and answer those questions. And I think that ultimately helps to tell that story of, you know, what should our plan be? And then when it comes to the execution side, you know, it's one thing to just jump headfirst in. This is the kind of thing that I would say, if your club isn't as familiar with it, tiptoe. Take a couple of baby steps in and just try it out. And, you know, again, measure what, you know, even if it's just one toe into the water, measure when you get to the end of it and see, was it successful? If it was successful, try 2 toes next time. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it helps a lot, because I'm really interested in the whole marketing thing. And I know that Toastmasters, the clubs do not really have a marketing person per se. There's membership, there's PR. And somehow nobody really takes that on because there's no overlap, meaning that there's a gap and it just stays there. The president or somebody's not really interested, then it doesn't really happen in a sustained way or systematic way.
Yep. And that's where I would say do it as a team. Get together, look at the questions, and just figure out what's going to work best for you. The other thing that I'll say to it is there is no best answer that I can give to you all to say this is what's going to work. Every single club is different, just like the culture of every single club is different. Your marketing plan is going to be different too. You're all after different audiences. You all have something unique about you or about your club. Well, and you are all unique too, but your plans are all going to be different. Marilyn.
For the incentive for the $50, the marketing plan that the club turns in, does it need to follow the format of it needs to follow the format that you sent out? Or
No.
can it just be a written document of what the club plans?
It can be a written document, whatever works for your club as a club plan. I am not going to say you have to use what I provide you, because like I said, every club is different and everyone is different, and it may not work for everyone. So just make it say club name, marketing plan at the top, and I'll know what it is.
Oh,
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Hi, I don't have a question, but I do have a little bit of experience advertising our clubs. And it was once when I was an area director and I joined with 3 other clubs, and we advertised in Tidbits, and we put in an ad every month, I believe it was. And then we switched the club name each time they put it in. I did North Dodge, then someone else, then Norwich Dodge, then someone else. No, not really. And another time I joined with Old Capital, I believe it was, in Iowa City, and we advertised in little journal or something, and it was online ads, but we were able to share the expense because it wasn't cheap. So it's just an idea to couple up with clubs to work on this.
That is a great idea. And that's the one thing. So full transparency, I actually took a digital marketing course about 2 years ago now. And my company paid for me to go to this, but it was truly intended for small businesses. And when I got there, they said, well, what's your small business? And I said, well, I don't have one. I have a major corporation. Well, you need a small business. Well, at the same time, I was trying to charter Capital City Advanced Presenters. So I used CCAP as my small business. And we spent a lot of time talking about competition. Who is your competition? Well, we're not competition to one another. And I hope that that's one thing that you all remember, is that as you start looking at your marketing plans and you start looking at, or do we put ads together, you're not competing against the club down the street or the club across town. We are all unique clubs and we are all in this together. So I think to Mary's point, you know, if you have other clubs that you think, you know what, it might be worth teaming up with them, absolutely team up with them. So we are down to our final minute. Before I turn it back over to Betty, I want to tell you that the documents that I put in the chat today, if you didn't have a chance to download them, we will have them added to the district19.me website under the club growth page, which is under resources on district19.me, and we'll get that uploaded here shortly. With that, I want to thank you all for attending tonight, and I'm going to turn it back over to Betty.
Chris, thank you very much for your presentation. Well organized and very timely. And I want to let you know that Matthew Kennard made sure that this was videotaped tonight, and within a couple of days it'll be available out on YouTube. So Matt, thanks for that. And I have a couple of announcements to make before we leave, and I would have a hard time prioritizing them, so I'm just taking them in date order, okay? On August 16th, we have planned a Zoom discussion for presidents and secretaries to prepare for the international business meeting. There are 2 proposals being submitted that are very important to us in terms of the support and networking that we get from the international level. And we want to make sure that you are well informed about those 2 proposals. So if you know a president and a secretary who may not understand how important this is, please encourage them to sit in on the Zoom discussion on the 16th. That's a Sunday, and it will be from 2:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. Teresa, our immediate past district director, has agreed to facilitate that conversation for us. So Teresa, thank you for doing that. On August 28th, there is a business meeting at the International Convention. And if you register for the convention, you're eligible to go and participate, but that's where our presidents and secretaries will be voting. So August 28th is another important date for our presidents and secretaries. On August 29th, and it's free. You don't even have, yeah. Otherwise, we'd have to go to Paris to do all this, but now it's free because we're all locked down at home. So let's enjoy it while we can. On August 29th, we have the International Speech Contest. And if you've never attended an international convention and seen this event, you are in for a treat. And again, it is what, Teresa? It is free. And what you need to remember when you see these wonderful, wonderful speeches given is that these people all started where we started. Most of them very uncomfortable about speaking in front of people, being up in front of a group, and the transformation is awesome. It's amazing. It's something you won't forget for a long time. Now, in addition to us being able to have a viewing party, and Chris Sheehan is working on putting that together for us, in the morning on the 29th, we will have a business meeting then, because we have some voting that we need to take care of. You need to approve the district budget and also our district success plan. And we will have a few more positions to appoint. And that will be at 11:30, and that will be a separate Zoom meeting. So we have some pretty important things coming up. And then on September 16th, we have our district council meeting. And that's going to be Zoom, just like it was last year in April. And we'll be getting more information out to you on that, but be sure that you have that on your calendars. And that's going to be important for our presidents and our VPEs to attend. There is no proxy voting for this meeting. You have to be present to vote. So we'll be getting a lot more information out about that in the near future. But just some major, major dates for us that it's important that we have your participation and be there with us. In September, Carrie Dosto will be presenting to us, and she will be talking about the district club plan. So you'll want to be sure and join us and encourage your friends and peers to join us. Tonight we have 19 participants, and that is awesome. Thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. Chris, thanks for the presentation. Matt, thanks for recording it and making sure it's going to get posted on YouTube, so those people that weren't able to be here tonight will eventually be able to see it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in September but we also look forward to seeing you 4 other times between these dates. So good night, folks, and thank you very much.
Night.